Oh, I could never give up cheese. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I would be rich. Do you love cheese? Chances are you're probably addicted to it, and today I'm going to tell you why. The information in this video comes from Dr. Barnard's book, The Cheese Trap. Dr. Neal Barnard is the president of the Physicians Committee of Responsible Medicine. In this book, he tells you why cheese is fattening, addicting, and leads to health problems. We have an epidemic of obesity in North America. Ever since the late 1990s, sugar consumption has gone down. In 2003, 32% of Americans were obese. 10 years later, that number went up to 38%. But I thought sugar made you fat. Well, it turns out, since that time, the consumption of cheese in fast food and pizza has skyrocketed. Did you know that in 1909, the average person ate just under 4 pounds of cheese per year? In 2013, that number went up to 33 pounds of cheese per year. That is an extra 60,000 calories. Let's talk about the nutritional profile of cheese. In 1 gram of sugar, there are 4 calories. In 1 gram of fat, there are 9 calories. A food like sweet potato is 1% fat. Broccoli, 8% fat. Cheese is 70% fat. So we know from high school science that our body's preferred fuel source is glucose. Our body uses glucose to power the brain and the muscle cells. If we overload our body with glucose, or we eat too much sugar, the extra glucose is stored in our muscle cells as glycogen. It is actually really difficult for your body to convert glucose into fat. This is a process known as de novo lipogenesis, and it is very unfavorable. However, if you consume a food which is high in fat, such as cheese, it is easily converted into fat on your body. When you convert milk into cheese, it concentrates a lot of things. A cup of milk has about 150 calories, and a cup of melted cheddar has just under 1,000 calories. It concentrates the dairy protein casein, it concentrates the cholesterol and the saturated fat, and it is extremely high in salt and in a variety of chemicals not meant for the human body. These are all things I will address in this video. Have you ever heard someone say they won't eat bread or pasta because it requires you to blend up grains and it's too processed? Well, I'm going to tell you that cheese is the most processed food. To make cheese, you need to start off with a whole bunch of milk. Then you add bacteria to ferment the sugar lactose. Then you add rennet, which is an enzyme found in the 4th stomach of a dead calf. Then the milk will coagulate and they need to drain off the whey, which is a mixture of lactose and water. The dairy industry produces a lot of whey waste, which is why you'll see a ton of whey protein powders and whey snuck into your favorite snacks. After this, a lot of salt is added to stop the bacterial growth and to add flavor. Finally, the cheese is put into a curing room and sold for consumption. This same process is used for feta, which comes from sheep, goat milk, which come from goats, and traditional mozzarella, which comes from water buffalo. The endless variety of cheese depends on the animal species, the bacterial cultures used, and the aging process. There are 3 reasons why consuming cheese will make you gain weight. But first, let's remind ourselves that by nature, milk is meant to turn a 60-pound calf into a 600-pound cow in 1 year. First, cheese slows down your metabolism. In our muscle cells, we have mitochondria and fat. When we consume too much cheese, this fat is stored in our cells. We are adapted to do this in case of a famine. However, this slows down the production of mitochondria to preserve the fat in the cell. 2. Cheese has no fiber. Fiber has no calories, and it's important because it fills us up. Since cheese is not a plant, it has no fiber. But won't we compensate by eating less of something else if we add cheese to our food? Studies have shown that no. Since cheese is not satiating, it is simply just extra calories. 3. Cheese is very high in sodium. We all know that if you eat too much salt, it increases your water weight. 2 ounces of potato chips has 330 milligrams of sodium. 2 ounces of Velveeta has 800 milligrams of sodium. The Adventist Health Study was a study on body mass index of 60,000 participants over the age of 30. You can see that those who consumed the most dairy had the highest BMI. There was only one group in the normal BMI range of under 25, and it was the vegans. So why do people get hooked on cheese? Cheese has 3 things that we love: fat, salt, and casomorphins. So like I said before, the main protein found in cheese is casein. Casein is a unique protein. When it's digested, it's broken down into amino acids, but it's also broken down into small fragments called casomorphins. These compounds attach to the same brain receptor as heroin. The casomorphin morphoceptin has 1/10 the receptor binding power of pure morphine. They are literally morphine-like compounds that cause the brain to release dopamine. But let's think about it. In nature, these casomorphins are completely natural. These feel-good compounds allow for a mother-infant bond, which is necessary for the success of the species. However, when you turn milk into cheese, it concentrates the casein protein by 7-fold. It's the most concentrated source of casein you can find. Industries know that this is addicting. Government is working with chain restaurants to put cheese in everything. They're working with industry to promote agriculture products. They do not care about your health, they care about your wallet. Let's talk about hormones. The FDA does not require dairies to report on hormone levels in their products. Most milk comes from pregnant cows. Pregnant cows are full of estrogen hormones. Over the course of a pregnancy, estradiol can jump 17-fold and estrone can jump 45-fold. These hormones can get into your bloodstream, and it has been shown that men who consume dairy have lower sperm count. Many cows in the United States are injected with bovine growth hormone, which will increase the production of lactation. However, studies have shown that it also increases the risk of mastitis by 50%, which then in turn increases the use of antibiotics. It is illegal to label dairy as hormone-free, so you don't know if you're getting dairy with bovine growth hormone in it. What about soy? Doesn't soy have a lot of estrogen in it? Soybeans contain isoflavones, which vaguely resembles sex hormones. We call them phytoestrogens. The dairy industry has made a lot of women afraid of consuming soy, but women who consume the most soy in the world have the lowest levels of breast cancer. Eating soy products is very preventative against breast cancer because these isoflavones have an anti-estrogenic effect on breast tissue. Why are dairy products linked to other cancers? Dairy products contain insulin-like growth factor 1, a compound that promotes growth. IGF-1 also promotes the growth of cancer cells. Vitamin D is produced by the sunlight, then activated in the liver and kidneys to be circulated through the blood. The best known job of vitamin D is to help with the absorption of calcium. When you are low in calcium, your body will activate vitamin D to help the intestinal tract with the absorption of calcium. When you consume too much calcium, your body will slow the activation of vitamin D. Another role of vitamin D is for the protection against cancer. When you consume dairy products, you're taking in way too much calcium, your body will slow down the production of vitamin D, and your cancer risk will increase. Heart disease occurs when cholesterol particles work their way into the artery and form plaques. Plaques can break open like a blister and form a blood clot, which stops the blood flow and causes a heart attack. So where do these cholesterol particles come from? Too much cholesterol goes into the blood when you eat too much cholesterol and too much saturated fat. The number one source of saturated fat in the American diet is dairy. Your body makes all of the cholesterol that you need. Also, the high salt content in dairy also contributes to high blood pressure. This book also includes information about respiratory problems, migraines, arthritis, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and acne. I think it's also important to address the ethics of consuming cheese, and I will not show any graphic images, but let me explain it to you in less than 20 seconds. The only way a cow can produce milk is if she has given birth. While she is chained up, she is artificially inseminated, and 9 months later, she gives birth to her calf. There is an instant connection, and there is no stronger bond than that of a mother and an infant. However, we need that milk so we can make cheese, so that baby is taken away. If that calf is a male, he's waste to the dairy industry, so he's either murdered immediately or sent to the veal industry. If that calf is a female, she's raised on feces-filled concrete floors and impregnated and milked just like her mother. When she's no longer able to produce the milk that humans need, she is killed for cheap meat. The average life expectancy for a cow is over 20 years, but the average dairy cow lives for only 5 years. I could also make an entire video about the environmental impacts that the dairy industry has on our planet, but I will not get into that in this video. If you're looking for a time to give up cheese, in 2018, it's never been easier. There are so many cheese alternative products on the market today. You can also make your own cheeses out of cashew, tofu, nutritional yeast, and so many other ingredients. It takes 21 days to break a habit. I guarantee that if you stop eating cheese for 21 days, you will stop craving it. I find foods like avocado, hummus, and Kalamata olives to give me the same enjoyment that cheese used to give me. So if you're having trouble breaking your cheese addiction, consider reading the full book, The Cheese Trap by Dr. Barnard. So if you got something out of this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.